Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your Steeler Nation podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, and are you ready for some softball, Steeler Nation? I know I am. I'm getting psyched because tomorrow, Steeler Nation is sponsoring the Three Rivers Celebrity Softball game that benefits the Heyward house from Cam Heyward. Great project that he's got for the youth there in the Pittsburgh area. So, cool thing is the game is at Washington Wild Things Stadium, local to Pittsburgh, very close in Washington, PA, and the tickets are only $10. Plus, we got the Terrible Tailgate there as well, which I will be there from 2 to 5. Tickets for that are $20. All you can eat, all you can drink. Go to the Washington Wild Things page on the internet. Click on events. Three Rivers Celebrity Softball game will be right there, and it has links to everything. I will have the links also in the article on SteelerNation.com. So who all is going to be there for the value of this $10 game? Well, Joey Molinaro, the great comedian, sports writer, used to be at Barstool, big friend of the show. He's going to be the master of ceremonies. He hit a home run last year in the game. Ryan Shazier will be throwing out the first pitch, so we can leave with Ryan on site, and then we'll just go down here through the roster with the Pittsburgh team being coached by Andrew Filipponi. So we've got a great personality there from Pittsburgh. Doran Dickerson will be there, a West Allegheny High School alum, went to the University of Pitt, obviously, and played with quite a few NFL teams. Britt Baker, the old pro wrestler, will be there. Diggs from the Pat McAfee show will be there. And then all of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got Mitch Trubisky. You've got Najee Harris. You got Chris Wormley, Tyson Alualu, Terrell Edmonds, Calvin Austin III, Kenny Pickett, Cam Heyward, Alex Highsmith, Casey DeSmith, the goalie over there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And also Cam did announce that his brother Connor will be there as well. So a jam-packed roster of Steeler players, guys. Bring your footballs, bring your pictures, get stuff signed for $10. This is a laid-back atmosphere, Steeler Nation. This is not like going to work, seeing them at training camp, which some of them will sign there, but they are here for fun. They're here to have a good time. They will be signing a ton of autographs. So what about the world team? We've got Coach Paul Zacy over there. Adam Scherr, the old WWE pro wrestler who went by Braun Strowman. He'll be there. Bud Dupree, the old outside linebacker. I'm excited to see Bud. He plays for the Titans now. Chelsea Green, who's a Canadian wrestler in the WWE as well. Malcolm Jenkins played for 13 years in the NFL. I remember him from the Eagles. Played with the Saints as well. Jalen Rose, the old player from the Fab Five Michigan team, played in the NBA for a long time. Great player. He will be there. Miles Sanders, the old Eagles player as well, will be there. Dion Lewis, former NFL running back from the University of Pitt, will also be there playing for the world team. Jersey Jerry from Barstool Sports. He's a good friend of the show as well. Matthew Judon, remember him from the Ravens, playing defense for them. Good linebacker, also went to Grand Valley State. Ken Moore, the second Colts cornerback who last year made the Pro Bowl, and Darnell Speedy RT, from the Harlem Globetrotters. So he played professionally in Brazil. He's been a Globetrotter. He knows how to have fun at these types of events. So I'm looking forward to seeing Speedy come on over and play in there as well. And that is the roster. We're going to have some Steeler Nation people there as well. I will be there. I know our owner, Justin, will be there with his wife, Christy, and our editor, Brandon, will be there as well. B-Wall, you know him from the Twitter Spaces. He's a co-host on there as well. So we'll have a lot of fun people to talk with, guys. Looking forward to the conversations. Looking forward to all the fun that's going to be coming up for the Celebrity Softball game this Saturday, 7/16 in Washington, PA. Washington Wild Things Stadium. Be sure to be there. I will be there. Can't wait to meet you guys. Now it's time for questions from Steeler Nation. We pull our questions directly from the Steeler Nation Football Forum over there at Steeler Nation. So first questions coming up from Slash Steel. He says, raise your hands if you're Acrisure. He must love the new names. Anyway, instead of a ketchup bottle, what will be the theme? Well, I'm hearing Slash that they might be keeping the ketchup bottles as part of a different sponsorship with the Heinz company. So that means more revenue and something less than they'd be willing to pay anyway, because they were around the $2 to $3 million range, whereas Acrisure is going 10 mil. And that is a big difference. So, but if they can pay $1 million a year just for the stadium, I think everybody will be happy with that, because we'll still get to see the ketchup bottles turn over in the Heinz red zone every time we hit it. So that'll be fun to watch. What player do I think out of all the long shots will sneak onto the roster? I've given this some thought, Slash, and there's a couple here that I want to talk about. First one is Chris Oludikan, and that is the quarterback that we drafted in the 7th round. I think he's got a shot, especially if he shows that he is capable of an RPO leading that kind of offense. It may squeeze somebody like Mason Rudolph off of this roster if the Steelers can't get some trade value for him. So look at Oludikan and look to see where he's taking snaps when training camp starts rolling through. I like Mateo Durant as a long shot for the running backs. This guy was undrafted, and the Steelers really need a viable backup. I know Snell just hasn't been doing it lately. I know McFarland, he's been hurt. He was going to be the guy last year, but he got hurt. He never was able to get back in the fold. So we'll see what the competition is going to be, and if a guy like Mateo Durant can push one of those guys off the roster to make this team and to make it better. Last guy I wanted to talk about was one of the biggest guys on this roster and the biggest defensive player on the roster. I'm talking about the undrafted rookie free agent, Donovan Jeter, 6'3", 325-pound nose tackle out of Michigan, a Big 5 school, or Big 5 conference school. So I am looking for him to be able to show what he can do early and often, and maybe give some competition here to Adams and maybe push him off the roster. But we will have to see the way that he will respond to training camp. But those are the people that I'm just excited to see before getting into all of the ins and outs of training camp. Next question from Blitz. How long did it take for you not to call it Three Rivers Stadium? Well, that was an instant for me, Blitz, because we went from the building that was Three Rivers Stadium into the new building, which was Heinz Field. So it felt like walking into a new place. Instantly called it Heinz Field. So that for me, it was no problem. Plus, Heinz Ward played there. So that even helped out with the name for me, even though spelled slightly different, but said the same way. I had more trouble calling Three Rivers Stadium the Blast Furnace. I remember that was a nickname there for a bit, and I call it the Blast Furnace for a little bit, but that never transferred over to Heinz Field as well. Will Deshaun Watson get a Ben Roethlisberger style punishment or a pass? Ben Roethlisberger was initially given a 6-week punishment. They pleaded it down to a 3-week, I think, a 3 or 4 week punishment, if I'm remembering correctly. I think this is going to be a much bigger punishment than that. I think they're looking probably at about a year, if not 8 to 10 games. I mean, he already took off last year. I don't know if they're going to add that into part of this, but he still has issues, and he still has issues coming up. So a guy like this, we don't know if he'll ever play. Would be crazy if he didn't, and just goes to show you Cleveland Browns will always be the Cleveland Browns. Next question from BK Wheat 28. I'll take this funny one from him. Is Zach Wilson making a mistake turning down the $69,000 offer from the adult entertainment company to be their new MILF recruiter? I've seen this all over social media. People are throwing Zach Wilson up with all these pictures of older women, but he can like whoever he wants, guys. And as soon as he starts becoming a starter in the NFL, one thing is going to be for certain. The amount of older women, house moms, NFL moms, cougars watching the NFL is going to go up significantly. He is going to be a fan favorite for the women, the mature women who love the NFL, and they should love a player like this because it gives you a thought like, hey, maybe I could be the next guy and the next cougar for Zach Wilson. We'll have to see. Mad Insomniac, I think the podcast needs to be renamed to the Acracast now. Not yet. And then until they start paying me that kind of money, then I'll definitely do it. So first off, are we extremely overlooking Leal? I'm stuck in Oklahoma and bored out of my mind. I'm checking draft guides. This guy has first-round grades everywhere. Many have him as the top defensive tackle. So the Steelers obviously didn't overlook him, but it did take to the third round till anybody grabbed him. I know they were super happy to get him. But this draft was really wide receiver and defensive back heavy. So those defensive linemen did drop significantly in this draft, outside of the can't miss top 10 picks, but great talent. This guy projects to be very good in what we do, and hopefully can come in and help fill that hole that we're going to have since Tuitt's not going to be on the team anymore. Secondly, how would you feel about letting DJ play out his contract, and if he has another great year, tagging him and trading him, then drafting Jordan Addison, who is basically a better version of DJ? I'm going to say I can't say anyone is a better version of DJ yet here, Mad, because DJ runs a better route than anyone in the NFL. His separation ratio or separation distance off of his first break is number one, according to Pro Football Focus. That's why he was the only person getting open in this 2-second offense that Ben had, getting the ball out in 2 seconds. He was getting open. That's how he caught 107 balls. So this guy can play. I personally would like the Steelers to lock him down, but if I'm going off of your statement, sure, I would be fine with letting them play out and tagging him. If they tag him, I hope for hell it's not an exclusive tag. It could be a non-exclusive tag moving forward, since Bell killed us on that the last time. He never played it down for us. We never got a pick for him. So we could do that. I don't know if the teams are going to be willing to give up 2 firsts for him for that tag, but it depends on how good he is this year. And yes, he would be worth 2 firsts. So that would be something I could get behind. Who's drafted? Not sure if that's really going to be the offer, because we have to use a first to get a guy like the one you are, the Jordan Addison. Yeah, I don't think he'll go anywhere but the first round. So you got to keep that up as well in your mind, and being like, well, we're going to lose a first-round draft pick by getting rid of this guy. Hopefully he works out. But I take the bird in hand that always can run the routes, that I know is a Pro Bowler in the NFL, over a drafted player any day of the year, any day at all. Last questions from Drink Iron City. Happy vacay. Thank you, DIC. I am in Ocean City, Maryland for the last day of my vacation before traveling to Washington, Pennsylvania for the great Celbrity softball game here tomorrow. So looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. First question, how long will this new Acrisure name be in effect? And typically, is it 20 years naming rights? Well, usually naming rights can be anywhere from 5 to 10 years. I thought it was insane that the Steelers locked in Heinz for 20 years because of the amount of increase in inflation that can happen in that amount of time. But it sounds like this Acrisure deal is a 15-year deal at $10 million a season. So incredible value. Just, my gosh, I think we were around $3 million a season for 20 years. Just doing the quick math on that. So that's $60 million over the 21 years, $63 million. So we're getting that essentially in 6 years with the Acrisure deal for what they made with all of that past 21 years combined. And hopefully that goes into making a greater fan experience at Acrisure Stadium, which I have to call it now. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to call it Acrisure, just because it's still the same building, and a name change in a building is a little bit more difficult, at least, to get the names right. But I think we'll all be saying Acrisure here by the end of the year. Number 2, has Mr. Bush been working hard in the offseason, and has there been any indications, articles involving him in workouts? Well, I know we have some articles over on him at SteelerNation.com. Just do a search for Bush, and I know they'll pop out. But I haven't heard too much on his offseason workout regimen, other than he did make it OTAs, he did make it to mandatory minicamp, and he was doing well in those aspects. I know Austin seems to really be excited about him, as well as his new linebackers coach, Flores, who is just a head coach masquerading as a linebackers coach this year. And that guy is going to make sure that Bush puts on his best when he goes out on the field this year. Question number 3, I still feel offensive coordinator is the weakest link on the team. Has there been any indication on him being a step up this upcoming season? Oh, Canada. I mean, we're still worried about Matt Canada, and I watched an offense last season that looked just like Randy Fichtner's offense the previous season because it was a Ben Roethlisberger offense. Ben doesn't line up under center. Ben doesn't do play action. Ben is not mobile anymore, so he can't really use his legs on the boot or the waggles like he used to be able to get out on the edges for. So what we're going to see now, play action, run heavy offense, moving, and this will benefit, guys, this is going to benefit actually Deontay Johnson's game too, because he's going to go out for a pass, he's going to look like he's going to block, and then bam, he's going to turn and be open. So this guy's going to still get a lot of passes in this offense, and I'm looking forward to the way that Canada's going to utilize the personnel hopefully a little bit better than he has in the past, because we have other quarterbacks that are now learning his system, not him learning Ben's system or trying to fit a system around Ben that worked. And it did work. We did make the playoffs last year. Question number 4. Are there any recent indications that the new defensive line from Cleveland is full health and near ready to play, or do we think it'll be 3 to 6 weeks into the season before we see him swinging helmets in a game? I went over his surgery back when we first picked him up. It's a Liz Frank surgery. It's a 6-month recovery. He got it on January 20th. 6 months after January 20th is July 20th, which puts you right at the beginning of training camp. Steelers already worked him out. They probably would not have brought him in if they didn't think he was going to be ready by training camp. So I'm looking forward to him coming out, performing over there at St. Vincent's. And that is coming up in just a week and a half now, Steeler Nation. Time to get excited for that as well. Lastly, any word on Aditi getting out of the doghouse with Coach Tomlin? She has been pulled from the AFC North in coverage. Has she been pulled from the AFC North in coverage? I don't know if she's been pulled from the coverage, but I know she does feel slighted that Tomlin does not reach out to her, react to her favorably. But this is Coach Tomlin, who puts zero energy into making sure the media likes him. So nothing there will ever be resolved until Aditi just realizes that Tomlin just doesn't care about the media. He will answer your questions. He doesn't have to like the questions. He doesn't have to like you personally, but he will answer your questions. Again, a 5-star podcast production, and thank you for all your time and effort and dedication put into these. Thank you, Drink Iron City, for all the awesome questions, and all of you, Steeler Nation, for the incredible questions. Be sure to go to SteelerNation.com, sign up for a free account in the football forum to have your questions answered by me each Friday on the podcast. Thank you to our sponsor. Be sure to go over there to Total Sports Enterprises online at tseshop.com. Follow them on Twitter, Total Sports ENT, to get free signed jerseys just about every week. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube page, youtube.com/Steeler Nation, to be the first on the vidcast, usually at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday nights live. And that is an open session and always your podcast, Steeler Nation. Read the great Pittsburgh Steeler focused articles at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at Steeler Nation. Instagram us or Facebook us at SteelerNation.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast. Instagram at Steeler Nation Podcast. Or follow your host Stryker on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, Steeler Nation Stryker at SN Stryker. And I can even put up a little bug for that. I've got banners. Boop. There it is. And that's on TikTok. Thank you for joining us for the Steeler Nation vidcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises and part of the Steeler Nation network. I am your host, G.Stryker, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!